because it's 12:59, so she's up and running. So they're magnifiers, but you need more. Or they're...
What?
Is it long-sighted or short-sighted?
Short.
Short-sighted, okay.
Is it long or short? I'm not sure. I don't know. It's like if you put...
Short-sighted should get better as you get older. Long-sighted generally gets worse as you get older.
I think it's short. It's like if I took off my glass, I can't see on the far away.
Okay.
So is it short or long? Confuse me.
Oh, okay. It's 1 o'clock, so rather than talking about our medical emergencies, we should get on with streaming. Hi, I'm Brook. This is Linda. This is Margaret. I got them around the right way because I wasn't looking at the screen today. We're from Stickmen Media, and we are streaming the development of our zombie survival horror game After the Light. Today we're talking with Linda about animating the run for one of our soldier zombies. So I'll just start that running. And
Start that running.
hand over to Linda.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Oh yes, of course.
Firstly, we just to choose a reference
Good.
and cut for the right length.
Okay. So we've chosen our reference video.
Yeah.
What is it that I'm carrying? Is it an umbrella?
Yes, yes. You're about to hack somebody to death with
That
an
is
umbrella.
a very typical
It's
zombie
an
weapon.
umbrella.
Yeah.
I thought just a stick.
No, I think it was an umbrella.
I even didn't notice.
It's in the details, Linda. It's all very, it's important.
Yeah.
It looks very dangerous, doesn't it? That umbrella.
Yeah.
Is it heavy?
They don't like
It
it
was
up.
heavy, yes. They don't like the cold steel up 'em.
No. All right, so you've basically trimmed that to length, so you've got a full walk cycle, run cycle there.
Yes. And I just got this side view. So if we have the other views, we will just make sure the time is same.
We
So-
did have the front view though, didn't we?
But you didn't give me, so I thought we didn't shoot it.
Really?
We did shoot it. I ran straight into the camera
Yeah.
over and over and over again.
Your fault.
It's my fault. I don't like it when it's my fault.
Oh, please. Well, there's a remedy.
Yeah,
We do have a front view. If you need to clean things up, we do have the front view of all of
really?
this. Yeah.
If you have the front view, could you just send me the working?
It's on that drive I gave you, basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You didn't tell me. Okay, but anyway, I have already finished the running.
Real
So-
studio politics. You're watching it live here. Who's to blame for the cock up? Me, apparently.
Kind of works. Since it is your fault.
It's often the case.
But
Thank you.
Yeah, but I still haven't finished that working. So probably if I could get the front view of working, that will be awesome.
Very good.
Yeah, yeah. Still like I need to see some like animation curve. Like currently, I think I just bring the old working animation, which I don't quite like it. That animation is created before we make the action reference.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just delete the rest part and just using the first frame to decide which foot is in the front. So apparently it's left foot is in the front, so I'm just...
So we've done this for all of them. So the walk
Yes.
cycle, the run cycle, they all start on the left foot so we can blend between them, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I will just find that frame, that time Margaret did similar pose like that, and then we'll repose the food.
Stretch his leg a little bit, make it fit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I better open up my Twitch on here as well so I can answer a text. Basically, I want to be able to see without leaning forward. I would like to be able to see who's actually talking to us.
And this sword, I didn't set any bound for this sword. I just kind of like constrain the sword to the hand.
Okay. Now, has Margaret got longer legs than the zombie there? Because I noticed we're having difficulty getting the knee down as low as Margaret's got it.
Just one leg. The other one looks alright. The other one looks to be not troublesome.
Yeah. Well, I'm just because often, you know, one of the things issues you have is the skeletons aren't the same size proportionally. So you can scale them, and everything scales, but you might well have longer legs than our model. Or the model might have longer legs than you, and it gets hard to match up the joints.
I know
right?
which one's going to be easier to change.
Yes.
I think even the when we set camera is not just like the same level as Margaret, so sometimes still have some like lens were different.
Okay, so
Like sometimes if your camera is set too low, and your leg will.
well, you were holding this, so it's too low.
Yeah.
Because you're shorter than Margaret, basically.
Yeah. Oh.
We're not going to go into the whole height thing again, are we?
No.
I think I've already...
5'7".
Quite tall.
Margaret is 5'7". She is quite tall for a zombie model.
Or just a human. Just a regular human.
Yeah, I just feel when I first time met Margaret, I just feel, wow, you're so tall. and another thing is, you were white hair color.
Yep.
So I was like, wow, it's so cool.
Oh, well, that's lovely.
Yeah.
I'm glad you thought good things. And go, oh my god, she's a white-haired giant.
Alright, so what are we doing now? Oh, straightening the leg.
Yeah, from the front view.
And you're doing this on the front view with no reference because
just
somebody
imagine.
forgot. Somebody
Don't be looking at me.
forgot to be
Matey.
passing the movie over.
Matey, skip, Filipino, piano tuna, ding dang doodle in the gravy. If anybody's ever watched Bottom, they'll understand. If they haven't watched Bottom,
They just think Margaret's having some sort
will
of
Then just
think that's ridiculous.
brain bleed or something at this particular point.
Yep.
Normally just copy the first frame to the end frame and make it move.
Yeah,
Sorry.
make it move. So,
Move.
okay. And that's the case always with these animations when it's a cycle.
Yeah.
We have to make sure the last frame and first frame actually match up.
Yeah, but sometimes we still need to adjust because sometimes you will still need to adjust the first frame. So just keep adjust. Keep adjusting. I always like remember, I said the wrong grammar, then I just want to repeat again.
Well, it's good to repeat. Repetition's good when you're trying to show something. Teach somebody something.
When I was starting in the net code, we always do the presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I couldn't talk too much, so I always bring my PPT, like lots of images.
Right, okay.
Good call.
So PowerPoint with lots of images, and you can get away with not saying much.
Saying fuck all.
I just show the images
Yeah.
and just explain what the image want to show to us.
Cool. We don't give you much of a chance here, do we? There's no PowerPoint, and you have to talk about everything you do.
Yeah. Try my
So,
best.
Yeah.
Just
gonna
feel,
Doing awfully well.
yeah, when I do this first time, I feel I have a lot to say, but just like animation, just like kind of like same process, so it's kind of hard to just keep talking, and I don't know what.
Well, that's
kind of
okay.
thing.
We started with small numbers, and the numbers increase over time. So for a lot of these people, they're hearing it for the first time. So
Yeah.
feel free to repeat stuff that you've done previously.
You might have different problems, I guess, with different animations as well.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
Like the fact that clearly I'm a lot bigger than that zombie.
Yes, like those characters whom have to hold weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Is not just like same as the no weapon character.
Yeah.
Who is when it's walking and running, the hand will be like have some movement, and if the character holding some weapon, and if the weapon is heavy, and you have to slightly just move a little bit. So
Mhm.
that's the difference.
Okay. So so if you're holding a weapon, generally you'll hold your hand a lot steadier than if you're just
Yes.
running along by yourself.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So back to mesh view here as we
Yeah.
straighten you up and.
To think about if the character move to using just one foot on the ground, which side he will be lean on.
Yep.
I'm very thirsty.
So, sort of mentioned here, we were talking about PowerPoints before. We do have a guest that we'll be talking with on Twitch on Tuesday at 1 o'clock, who is, I believe, putting a PowerPoint on the background here. So, if anybody's interested, that's the perspective from another game studio about the management of game development. So.
Something
The same
interesting.
thing that we do here, but this is another studio's take on it entirely, and there are a lot of differences, I know, from having worked with those guys previously, in the way they actually do and manage stuff.
And having said that, there's not necessarily a right way or a wrong way.
Yep,
Is it?
but ours is right.
Is it tomorrow or next week?
No, ours is righter.
Actually, yes. That's probably a really good point, is that there is nobody that's right. Procedures are under continuous development. And part of doing that is we have a retrospective every Friday. We should let you sit in one Friday, where people actually make suggestions for how to improve things. So we talk about what we did well during the week.
What we fucked up dismally.
Oh,
Yeah,
Time
yeah.
sheet.
Yes, we go through the timesheet and we see who slacked off,
Me.
who forgot to actually enter their tasks on the timesheet.
But I.
You never slack off. You're here longer than anybody. But
No, I just always forgot to click the start time.
yeah. So we do the timesheet thing, and then we actually have a discussion about what we did well during the week and what we could have done better during the week, and the suggestions out of that, what we could do better every week, is basically how you change the procedures. Although they don't change as fast as you'd think, there's always resistance to change, and changing procedures, even if it makes things better, doesn't always happen straight away. Just inside view of a game development studio, and probably anybody or anybody's business. So where are we up to, Linda?
We are still creating the key frame
Okay.
for the key pose.
So how many keyframes are we actually aiming to create for this cycle?
Depends the action. Like this one, we basically just like the red lines on the timeline.
Mhm.
So it's like about around 10.
Okay. So there's about 10 keyframes on the
Yes.
timeline for this.
For the first maybe 10 minutes, I will just create 3 keyframe, like front and end and the middle one. So I can basically put in the right move length, the move distance, so we can get the character moving.
Yep. And at the moment, you're just concentrating on the legs, so you're not doing a lot of, displacing the hips or bobbing his head or anything like that. We're just concentrating on the legs. That's the primary focus of getting that cycle. But for those of us watching, as we watch that thing scrub through, the running motion isn't yet natural. He's running along and everything's staying completely static on top.
Yes.
So if you're watching there and you're seeing that and wondering why that run cycle doesn't look natural, look at the top half and you'll see that the top half of that model is not moving at all.
Yeah. It's because on the side view, we just have the reference for the side. So for the side view, it's easier to see the difference for every moment pose is the legs or the arms. Yeah, but we have something different with the like hips. We normally will move to the front or top view to adjust it.
Yeah, I guess from the front it does make a difference, doesn't it? Because that's where you see the hips actually move, the shoulders actually move. So
it looks so fast. Yeah, maybe next time.
Looks like he's having a tantrum.
Maybe next time we should if if we want to show the final result, we should just keep the original speed.
No, he looks great. Motoring along. He's a really speedy soldier.
Yeah, I think he's having a tantrum.
We are playing this at 300% basically so that we don't bore people with this stuff. So at 300% we can sort of get through this task. But it does make his run look really funny. Yeah. The other thing about having that view from the front is we should be able to get a much better idea of what actually happens with the head as well. Because the head in running is one of those things that again adds sort of natural movement. But from the side it'll always look like the head's just there.
Yeah.
But it is rocking backwards and forwards all the time that you're running. So you hear smoothing out animation curves, right?
Yeah, but for the head, it's kind of like if running, because the speed is faster than walking, so his body move wave is not big as the walking. From my side, it's kind of like maybe next time when you see me do the walking, and you will see the hips rotation, the head movement is quite big movement on the front view.
Okay.
Because it's kind of like you need to find the balance.
Did you have any particular problems with this guy?
For this guy?
Yeah. Is it just the sword, I guess, is probably
or just the fact that somebody didn't supply the forward movement, maybe.
We can ignore that, that's not really a problem.
Really?
Okay. I did it, I copied them over, I got no idea why it didn't end up in one
Why
of
you
these things.
completely failed to
It's
follow through.
It's on the little blue drive that we actually hand this stuff around on.
Well, I guess that's for you to examine, I guess, later, isn't it?
Yeah, one of the things here is the artist used Dropbox a lot, and I could have put it in Dropbox. That would have made
There you go, self-examination.
made things a lot easier. It is on that drive, but if I failed to point it out, then it could be, that might as well be anywhere.
Oh, I could have avoided public humiliation.
Yes.
Failure
Clearly
of the
not
game.
avoiding it at the moment.
Nope. Oh well, you put it out there.
One of the nice things about this dude, I'm not sure if we I guess you don't follow, don't have a look at the concept reference, but we should have actually included it in the movie here a bit. Is this guy is he's really incomplete. He's missing his bottom jaw, and that's sort of one of the things that adds a bit of charm about him.
It's not something you hear every day. Oh, that guy's missing his bottom jaw. That adds charm.
Well, I don't often run into people that are missing their bottom jaw.
But if you did, you'd find it charming?
No. They'd have to be dead and missing their bottom jaw for them to be charming.
Oh.
I have a great respect and admiration for zombies. You know, if you bother to get up and do stuff after you're dead, then that shows real commitment to me. So, the bottom jaw,
enough.
yeah. No, the bottom jaw missing makes him a really unique sort of zombie. I haven't seen a zombie like it in games. Have you seen any ones that are actually missing bottom jaws? So he's almost entirely skeletal. His jaw's missing. God,
Special guy.
Yeah.
he looks funny.
If the skeleton should be like missing jaw, right? Because they can't connect it together.
Yeah.
How's he going to eat?
He can't eat, but he can't talk, so he doesn't actually have anything that makes him... you know, the other zombies, when their mouth actually moves, they've got a sort of humanity about them.
That
This
one
guy's
literally-
never going to have humanity, even if he was once human. He's just too foreign, being bottom jawless.
Yeah, I'm moving the rotate the hip and the head part from the front view.
Okay.
So when he's just change for the different leg on the ground, and then the body will rotate and make some like wave.
Yeah. I guess we tried to get Margaret to do a very stiff-legged run here with rocking from side to side. That didn't quite work out for us, did it? In the reference.
Unless we're just using some sticks to make them just no rotation at all.
Yeah.
It's quite difficult.
Yeah. This is one of the difficulties, I think, with animation of mythical or non-existing characters. Is
Hordes of kids coming in.
just letting you know we've got hordes of kids coming in behind us, examining our studio. So this happens here occasionally at Epic. So
Yeah.
students come through, they check out what it's like in our studio and see what people are doing.
I like
So
those
today
kind of
you can see them all trooping in behind us to come and have a look. And Donnie from the studio up the hall, Cerebral Fix, is actually leading them through on a tour. So I believe these are the kids from Burnside High School that are coming through.
I think so.
Yep. And yeah, quite a lot of them. So not even just a selection, quite a lot of them actually trooping in.
Filling the
quite
entire
like
room.
those kind of activities.
You do?
Yeah, because in China we never have those kind of chance. I'm quite like it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't go out on field trips a lot?
No, we just like basically just stay at school, or for the exam.
Oh, well, that's a bit sad actually.
Yeah.
Field trips are one of the things I loved about school. Although I used to smoke at school, so not occasionally, often I wasn't allowed to go on field trips because
Yeah.
I was in trouble. I was a good student mostly, but not a well-behaved student. All right, so if we can ignore it, let's go back to
Yeah.
to what we're doing here. So we see more stuff of running, and now you're doing a little twist of the hips here, I can see.
Yes.
She's having to make up this movement from the front because she didn't have a reference.
Yeah.
Carry on. So we're guessing here. We're guessing. We can correct all this if it turns out to be completely wrong.
We still have a little bit experience to know how could I fix the front part. Even some parts is not quite correct, but when we play the animation and we will notice something is wrong, so we will just keep adjust it. No, just every time when we view this speed.
I love seeing him run because he just runs really fast. Yeah, when we actually prepare these things, it's usually taking somebody's day of work or half a day of work or something like that and putting them up on the background, and we accelerate them to fit into an hour. So this one's running at 300%. So when you're seeing that zombie soldier run, that's not the speed he's going to be running in real life.
But this is the speed that Linda works at. 300%. See you guys.
See you guys. What did he say? Something strange.
I don't know, but the first word that came to my mind was fuckwit.
Not that we'd say that about high school students.
Fortunately, we got a big room, or they will come into the room for 3 times, for three teams. Like in our play room, it's too small, so it cannot fit all of the students in.
Yeah, that was a big group of students that came through.
I think it's the biggest team, as I know. Yeah.
Crikey, the room seems awfully big now.
Well, now it's awfully quiet, yeah.
Jeez, I didn't know we could get that many people in here. What the fuck have we been doing?
No, I know. We've got 10 people in this enormous room. We could probably fit 50.
We just did.
Yeah. But not with desks though.
Oh, they don't need desks.
I think we could probably fit in 30 people at a pinch
That's
into this room.
needy.
But then we wouldn't have our big VR space, which I'll show you sometime. All right, so we've lost track of what we're talking about.
It's still
Here's our wobble. Now that run is already looking a lot more realistic because we do have twisting of the hips.
yes.
We do have some shoulder deformations actually happening there.
Yeah, but we haven't do the like the arms.
So this time, what have you done to get the keyframes? So you've gone through from the side and you've identified the keyframes and got them in place, and then you go through and look at them from the front and edit those keyframes.
Yes.
Is that right?
To just adjust the hips.
Yeah.
To rotate the hips and also the spine.
And of course, we don't have any front reference because Margaret here completely forgot to remind me to hand that on to Linda.
Yeah.
It's because they are too busy.
That might have a grain of truth in it.
Yeah.
First statement was complete bullshit.
Look at him go. God, he really wants to get to you.
He won't be able to bite you when he gets there, though.
No. No, this is the truth. Biting is not this guy's thing simply because he doesn't have a bottom jaw, so he can't even gum you to death, I guess.
He doesn't need to bite.
Slash at you with his teeth, but he's got a big sword.
But he's got an umbrella.
A sword. The umbrella was just a stand-in for a sword. This guy does not fight with an umbrella. Yeah. All right, so one of the things we see a lot of is the smoothing of the animation curves
Yeah.
once you actually get in there.
You have to treat on them. It's really difficult if you do not change anything for the animation curve.
Mm-hmm. So,
Like a comedy.
if we should actually put the Benny Hill music to that every time he actually does his little run.
When you say he's looking more natural, I've never seen anything run like that before.
Well, no, he's still got a ways to go, but we can see actually
No, I'm talking about the speed.
Well, no, the
You're
speed.
being all literal and Asperger's-y or something.
The speed is not entirely natural. I may be a little Asperger's. I wouldn't be alone.
What?
All right. In having some mental deficit that
Ooh.
causes me to behave strangely in public.
Oh, I never said Asperger's was mental deficit.
Right.
Dig yourself out of that one.
Right. I just fired the political correctness cannon and blew off my own leg. My apologies to everybody with Asperger's or being anywhere on the autism spectrum.
which is everybody.
Indeed. My apologies to everybody.
You must now apologise to all humankind for your appalling and offensive fuck up. Oh,
By the way, did I ever point out that swear jar on the screen that feel free to contribute to?
Please do. I have a long-standing goal of being paid to swear, and this would make me very happy.
Indeed.
50 cents would make me happy. My grandmother used to fine me for swearing, and she discovered really quickly that I didn't mind paying for the privilege of swearing, so it would be amazing to reverse that trend.
Indeed. Although we might not have anybody listening to us, which would...
Well, that's going to make it.
Asking is pointless.
Yeah.
All right. So from the front, I think you're doing a marvellous job without the video reference that should have been given to you, of actually making that look more natural. And again, smoothing of the animation curves. I guess one of the things we haven't pointed out in this video, which we did point out in the last video, is keyframes are the frames that we actually implement. So they're the things where we actually make the adjustments. And the animation curves are controlling all the motion between the keyframes.
Yeah.
So that's essentially generated by the software. The software actually generates frames for in between the keyframes, following those animation curves. And so if you leave something that's lumpy or spiky or whatever in the animation curves, then you'll see some odd behaviour in the middle of the, between the keyframes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's being smoothed out.
The interesting thing is for the human IK, sometimes if you change the pose,
Mm-hmm.
actually the animation curve are not changed at all, and you have to go to those keyframe and key them again, and those animation curve will be changed.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so every time.
So that's just a little fault in the human IK.
Yes.
That stuff for Maya. Interesting. So what are the different curves on that? So are we looking at multiple joints? What are we actually looking at? Or are we looking at multiple dimensions? What were we looking at?
It's like for 3 different axes.
Okay, so for the 3 different axes, the X, Y, and Z axis are all represented. Like, was that view then where we could see multiple lines? That was X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
And it's X, Y, and Z not just for translation, but also for rotation.
Rotation and and translation.
So there would be as many as 6 lines actually on there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Normally.
Okay.
But for those like legs or arms on the yellow part, the yellow bones, they just have the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like sometimes will be annoying. Just need to fix those animation curves.
Yeah. Okay, so essentially smoothing all those curves smooths all the movement in all directions or in all axes. And I guess one of the things that, because we've talked about this with motion capture before,
Mm-hmm.
is in motion capture there are a lot more keyframes. There's
Yes.
a lot of keyframes. So if we're actually converting from motion capture,
Mm-hmm.
we have to sort of do a lot of deleting of keyframes and
Yes, we have to modify those original files. And
Mhm.
firstly, we need to make sure if we want to get the animation in place. So we have to make some change for the hips and make them just no move at all and keep just in the world central.
Mhm.
And then we have to fix the first pose and the last pose to create the animation loop.
Yeah.
Also, if we need to do some fix for the animation, because sometimes the mock-up animation is not exactly as the reference. If they like people do that reference, and when you get the result from the software, it's not quite. Sometimes it's not quite same, so you have to fix it. Anyway, it's just kind of like another treatment for the animation.
So can I ask a question?
Yeah.
This is the designated dumb question asker.
All right. Do ask the dumb question.
Okay, good.
We will hammer you with authoritative facts.
Oh, fuck, I can't wait. Scarcely hold myself back under those conditions. So why does mocap provide more keyframes, and why do you need to get rid of some? What's the optimal number of keyframes? How do you decide that? So how come you, first of all, how come you get so many keyframes out of motion?
Those keyframes is created by the software, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost every frame's a
yes,
keyframe, isn't it?
because they need to collect all the information.
All the data.
When they're moving.
Mm-hmm. And then it just calls all of that keyframes.
Yes, because like real human, even they are like working, like create the working cycle, even in the like working machine, and it will still not exactly like every working step is exactly the same loop.
Mm-hmm.
So the basically just looks just same, but still have a little bit difference.
Yeah.
So they will just try to get as many as they want to make the very realistic feeling scene. Yeah.
So how do you then? Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, so every step for a human, every step is really unique in some way. There's always a little bit where it didn't quite match the last step or the step before.
Yeah.
So how do you decide how many keyframes you need? And why would you have fewer or more?
Just like when we create the animation by hand, we will just do some like key pose. Just like for example, we have a ball, and this is a ground, and we want the ball bouncing. Just like when the ball hit on the ground, that we call the key pose 1.
Mm-hmm.
And when the ball is come to the
top.
highest point, and we key at the second pose, and the last pose is go to the first pose, and then we create a loop. So we got 3 key frame to identify the 3 different poses. Just as they walking, we have like left foot on the ground, then the right foot on the ground, just like.
And then that makes sense.
And some of it's sort of artist judgment, isn't it? About how many interesting parts there are in that cycle, and that's how many keyframes we'd actually put in. There we are.
Is there a problem with having? Yeah, man.
Yeah, sometimes I think the most experienced animator will have less animation keyframes than the less experienced animator, because they know which one is the really key one.
Yeah. Well, I guess yes. So if you're new to animation, probably more keyframes is best, because you'll have less problems with the.
Yeah, if you have the less keyframes, and you
then there's less smoothing out of those animation curves.
It depends if you found which one is the key pose, and if you do that one, actually the animation curve just will follow the rules. But if you didn't find the key pose and choose maybe the front of the key pose, and you have to fill another key frame to make sure the character is walking to that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why do we have 2 soldiers on the screen at the moment?
Let me see. It's because I want to make the character in place, just keeping no movement in the center of the world.
Okay.
And then I just bake
Right,
the
so
key.
you've made a copy that's going to stay at 000
Yeah,
in world coordinates.
Yeah, actually, when I want to delete the hips frame, and if I just directly delete from the IK part, and the leg will not follow the hip to the to another position, so I just go to the how can I say, the another pair of the bones, so I can directly delete the keyframes on the hips, so I can bring all the bones make them follow the hips. So, but the human eye can only bake every keyframe, so you can see it's full of keys. So I just bring another one to see which keyframe actually I was creating. So I just delete the extra part.
Right. But on the whole, the whole of this operation is about now making a zombie that's not actually going anywhere when he's running.
Yeah. Yes.
So, and that's what we need, because the game is going to control how far he actually goes when he runs.
Yeah, I don't want to make the timeline full of the key because it's so hard to modify.
Yeah.
So I just will keep the original keyframe and delete others. Then I could easily to fix the problem. Yeah. Now the character was in the same position. Just let the hips just have the head, and also the left and the right movement, not the front and the back.
Okay. All right. So yeah, really extreme view of the foot there, and we can see that our foot only actually has one bone.
Yeah, and
so no bending of the toes for this guy. He's just.
Yes. And with those lines, looks like the animation curve is not just like that
Moonwalk.
curve. It is another one is kind of like to show your animation path, and you can see the foot is exactly just go along those lines.
Yeah.
So you can exactly see which position are
There's something sort of Roadrunner about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, I found a whole bunch of those cartoons somewhere the other day, that Roadrunner cartoons.
Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah.
Cool.
God, I'd missed them.
Oh, fuck! They used to have me on the floor.
Yeah. Old school animation, but damn funny.
Imagine how long every one of those would have taken, and how many people.
Yeah. Well, essentially the process was similar, wasn't it? Because they would still keyframe the stuff, and then once they'd got the keyframes, they would actually ship them all off to somewhere much cheaper, maybe Korea or China or something like that, for them to actually fill in the to do the tweening, as they called it.
Did they ship them off though? I thought they did it all in house.
I'm not sure actually, but I'm not sure about places like Disney might have kept it in house, but I'm not sure about those guys that worked for Hanna-Barbera or things like that. One
They
would
didn't bother
imagine they
with
might
tweening.
have used.
And they just glided their characters along. They didn't worry too much.
So it was Warner Brothers, wasn't it? Did Roadrunner?
Yeah.
So Warner Brothers, I'm sure they would have actually done cost minimisation where possible. So they might have found cheaper tweeners, sent the stuff out.
Who knows?
Yeah. So that's a good point, I guess. The animation loops that we're showing off is tweening.
Looks like I'm breaking again.
Yeah. Okay. So at this point, this very interesting point in the movie, Linda's gone to make herself a cup of tea. So yeah.
I don't know how often that seems to happen.
And then she's back. Well, I mean, this was a 3 cup of tea zombie, I would have said. Yeah. Yeah.
At least.
This lot of animation would have taken 3 cups of tea. That would be my guess.
Maybe a spot of lunch.
Yeah, and from those like motion paths, so I could create a smooth like animation movement for the hand.
Stay with us.
Sorry, just realised I got a text. Sorry. Had the phone there. But back to Twitch. Molly said damn straight. I'm not sure. I can't remember what my comment before that was, but
And nobody else knows anything about it at all, so
I always read the Japanese comic book, like Japanese style animation. It's interesting is it's like maybe 3 or 10 years before Japanese always create like you say create the keyframe, and then they use the work from China, some studios to create middle animation. Yeah, but now.
But anime doesn't do a lot of tweening, does it? There's a lot of
yes.
there's a lot of
Yes,
stuff where it's very
especially
static, and they'll actually move the frame.
Especially for the 2D animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now it's like in China, some studio will just create some storyboard or keyframe animation and will transfer to Japan to do some middle animation.
Okay.
Yeah, because maybe it's because Japanese artists is working faster. Yeah, they are really good at drawing.
I don't know, but I'm always amazed at how much, because I loved, some of the old, like Astro Boy and Marine Boy and things like that. I used to watch Eighth Man. Nobody else but me seems to remember Eighth Man, but there was something called Eighth Man. That were all those anime things, and there was a lot of stuff where it was just static images that they just kept swapping between. That was telling the story, and occasionally all the animation that would actually be happening as Astro Boy would be talking is blinking and mouth moving, and the rest of the whole rest of the frame is completely static. So it was really done minimally. There's as little as possible actually done, and creating a great effect. So.
I think they need to just produce the animation very quickly. Just like every week they need to update. Yeah, they have to just using less work for one story.
Well, that's what I wondered, because I think Astro Boy was on every day.
Oh,
so can you imagine being the animator?
Yeah.
I've got to have this done by 5 o'clock.
That's really crazy.
So yeah, they probably had teams of animators actually doing sequential days, so they had some more time to actually put it together.
Yeah.
But
See,
still,
South Park is awfully minimal in its approach as well, and
Well,
it's worked rather effectively.
Yeah, I mean they do that now. I think they do that actually electronically, but what they
used to do everything Corel draw, didn't they?
The style of animation is like you would have done with actual cutout, little cutouts and all the rest of it. But and then they actually do the same thing electronically. So, but yeah, it's brilliant.
Well, there's no tweening, is there? There's front and the side and there's back, and that's it.
Yeah, basically, I think it's almost done for the running. And for this part, we hold the sword a little bit lower, and then I feel I have a thought maybe we can create a very exciting zombie.
Yeah,
it was
to
meant to be
raise
an
the
umbrella,
sword
Linda.
like that.
It wasn't meant to be an umbrella. It was supposed to be a sword.
So I after I finish this, I just make a little bit change for the right hand to raise the sword, like with this sword and want to catch someone.
Okay.
How's
he going to keep the rain off with a fucking sword?
So is that's what's being animated on our right hand side of him? Is that where his scabbard goes or whatever? Because there's some pouch thing, and you seem to be moving it, of course, to bang against him as he's
Look at him go.
as he's running. Yeah, like a little fella.
Yeah.
charging off to do his thing.
Oh no, he's terrifying.
Brave little
And
fella.
I'm doing the export part and just see is there anything need to do a little bit like adjustment for the middle frame. I
Okay.
like this
Yeah, I
skeleton.
like his.
Especially like the not same eye hole and make him kind of like very fun is like face like a
Mhm.
big eye hole, another one is small, so each time when I see his face just make me quite fun.
So how do you find animating zombies and stuff after years of doing cute things? How do you find that doing the horrifying things?
Oh, well, it is so hard to describe it. It's just like sometimes you will find this not quite horrible than you think.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember you saying, I think I told this story before on air, that when I asked you the first time you actually had to do a zombie,
Yeah.
and you don't think you actually liked the idea when I first proposed it to you that we actually do a zombie, because you'd been doing cute stuff up until then. And I said to do a zombie, and I asked you midway through, how are you enjoying doing a zombie? And you said,
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm loving it. Start to love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Which for me was a delight. That meant, yes, this is all going to work.
It's just like before I was just like to creating like maybe like animals like little bear or rabbit. Or
And then
some
we made
cute
you
child.
dark.
Yeah, make me dark.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, we thought give her a month and she'll be wearing the black lipstick and
That didn't happen.
the complete goth Linda. But no, the goth Linda never really happened.
It's because I'm quite like what kind of just a steampunk style feeling.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you didn't really pick up on the goth. Mark, you've never really been gothic at all either.
Oh,
Oh,
bit
people
of-
called me the epic
No,
goth for a while.
I'm
They
do
did.
the change for the right hand.
Ah, right.
You will say I'm just will creating another like to do another pose. Then I will using the animation curve to quickly change the other animations to this pose.
So are we changing all of them to him running with the sword up now rather than the
I
sword
just
down?
going to just make the change for the right hand part because
Okay.
other part of the bones will just keep the same.
Okay. So now he's much more threatening. So he's got that sword in the air. So he's really gonna lop something off when he gets
Yeah,
to you.
he's excited.
Somebody's jaw, perhaps.
So I think maybe we can use the both animation.
Yeah, oh, definitely with him with it running down and then perhaps lifting it at some point later,
Yeah.
as he gets closer to you. In fact, that would be really threatening, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So run, and then as he gets close. Ooh, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Actually, you're starting to get a feeling out there, if you haven't really been exposed to a game studio before, that a lot of this stuff is organic. So that we just saw with the sword going in the air there and looking much more threatening wasn't actually planned. This is something that just came about by Linda thinking, this will look good. We'll put the sword in the air. And, that's probably likely to go in the game now, that sword will actually be in the air, or maybe even the idea that he runs with it down and then raises it as he gets close to you as a second run animation, so run 2 animation. So that's organically come about and wasn't actually planned originally. And a lot of stuff with games actually happens. It happens during the creative process. Did I say during or during? I think I said during. I just made up a word.
Maybe.
During the creative process. And some of it comes about by playtesting and just think, no, we need that guy to look angrier, or we need this guy to be more threatening, or we need a moment of pathos here, or something like that. These things start to come about organically. it really is a creative thing and very rewarding because of it. Sorry, didn't mean
Well, it's
to
rewarding
I monologue there.
It's rewarding because we have great artists and animators and
Yeah,
modelers, and it wouldn't be rewarding if they were.
rubbish. And probably they'd just work the script if they were rubbish. So.
Well, not necessarily.
Yeah. No, that's true. We have had people actually take over and do stuff their way who shouldn't really have been making those decisions. That stuff happens too.
It's a tough balance, though, isn't it? Between you do have to run the script, but within that, you actually do want input. You want creative input. You want everybody's input.
That's right. The scripts are important because of health. Because of course.
What the fuck is going on?
I'm having a little brain bleed, a little
Don't even go there.
thing here. The scripts are important because we do need to run to time. We have a budget. We need to keep to budget, to keep to the schedule, essentially, when we're doing stuff. But at the same time, we need to allow space for people to be creative and to actually add their stuff to the process, to what we're generating. And it's a balance. And when that balance goes wrong, of course, things run over schedule and over budget.
And we get very pissy.
We do. That's Margaret's job, really.
Yeah. It's a fair
Basically
statement.
keeping everybody in line. All right,
Getting pissy.
including me.
Especially you.
Very good. But you didn't remind me to send that footage to Linda.
Well, I thought by now, surely he'll do it on his own.
That's your fault, not blame Margaret.
Oh. I love you, Linda.
All right. So bringing everybody back to what we're supposed to be doing. Okay, so we've got the sword actually moving from side to side now.
Yeah, we have to absolutely to make sure the sword is moving smoothly. Even it was holding by the zombie.
Mm-hmm. Okay, a lot of playing with that there and following the curve,
Yes.
which is practically at the point of the sword. That curve is what's tracking the very point of the sword by the look of it.
Yes, I just point a locator to the tips of the sword.
So what's a locator?
Again, it's kind of like object too. You can use it just like to, if you want to see those kind of like animation paths,
Yeah.
you could using that to parent to the point. Just like the sword, we didn't create any joint for it, but we want to see the sword tips moving past, so we will parent the locator to here, and then select the locator, show the animation path.
So in general, it's just something you can trace. You can.
Yeah,
You can
it's kind of like help you do something.
Okay. So why are there several lines there? Are we looking at the trace over a couple of different loops? So, or
You mean the lines?
so we've got essentially we're following several paths there,
it's because
and they're all a bit different. They're not matching up with each other.
yeah.
He's not threatening at all. He's, hey, wait.
Hey, hey.
Yay!
Yeah.
Go Falcons! Yeah.
What?
There probably is a team called Falcons.
Well, almost
Yeah, it is big.
guaranteed.
Just I feel it. The sword weaving it. The action is too much angle, so I just
Okay.
adjust it, not make the zombie too exciting.
Not too eccentric with you pointing about it, sword. Yeah. Do you think there's a team for every animal?
Probably.
Or is it only fierce animals? There's no like...
Go the hamsters!
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is there go the hamsters or go the otters? Or...
Go the sloths!
Go the sloths.
Yeah.
Are we going to create a slow motion? Rah.
Ooh.
Somebody told me, and I don't know if
Go
this
the
is true,
rats.
I've never looked it up,
Nice.
that before sloths attack, and the idea of sloths attacking, before they attack, they lick their elbows.
What?
Because they have poison glands on their elbows.
That's disgusting.
But the whole idea of before sloths attack, you'd have to like be asleep to be in any danger, wouldn't you?
I'm going to Google that
Yeah.
because I think that's hilarious.
Do Google that.
Sloth attack.
All right, so we're getting a better
Oh
sword
wait,
motion here.
there's even YouTube videos of it.
Videos of a sloth attack.
Yep. Sloth attack video will be happiest 20 seconds of your day, guaranteed.
So you're watching a video while everybody else is watching us.
Oh, well, sloths attacking, right?
Okay. So what are we doing now, Linda?
And from the side view to make sure the sword movement is soft.
So are you, because like I said, there seems to be multiple traces over the same path, but slightly different. So does that mean that one of those sword things is not matching one run cycle? You've got to do it twice or something
Yes.
during the...
Yes, if you go to the front view, even you fix all the position, right? But maybe in the another view or the side view, there's still something wrong. So because in the game is not just see those characters in the front, so you have to make sure you got the right animation, the different angle.
Look at the little fellow run, I do like that.
Finished.
And we're at the end. Okay, and we've run over by a minute, but thank you everybody for viewing today's show. We'll be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock, streaming the development...
Sloth attack.
Not streaming a sloth attack, streaming the development of our zombie survival horror game, After the Light.
After the sloth.
Nothing to do with sloths. And then I think we've got a break until Monday when we'll be starting again. Tuesday we've got a visitor in from Cerebral Fix who'll be talking about the processes of game development in their studio. Yeah, so we'll see you tomorrow, and bye for now.